Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, the GRU Authority Board fighting back on membership control, why they say the city's plan is illegal. And an Ocala man accused of illegally recording a young woman, how police say the woman's mother found out about the crime. And heat's been the story all week, but there could be some relief from the hot temperatures. The UF weather team is tracking when we could see the next round of showers. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
The new Gainesville Regional Utilities Authority opposes the city's ballot initiative for voters to make the decision on who should be on the board. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Tatyana White. The board voted on the decision during last night's meeting. All members voted to inform the supervisor of elections of their position. They say the city's ballot proposal is illegal. We told you back in March, Gainesville commissioners discussed a change to part of the city's charter that deals with the control structure of the city's utility system. The new ordinance would allow for a spot on November's ballot on who will have control. Currently, the governor appoints the authority board.
Now everyone's voice has been taken away, and there's only one person who is accountable to the city of Gainesville, and that is the governor of the state of Florida. There was no other utility like this, municipal utility like this, anywhere in the United States of America. And I think that a government that does not have legitimacy of the people can't govern effectively.
There's specific language in the House bill that says that the city commission must take all actions to implement House Bill 1645. So by its very nature, it means that you aren't going to reverse it.
Earlier this month, Governor DeSantis appointed 5 new members after the majority of the previous members resigned. Their resignations followed a lawsuit settlement between the state and the local group Gainesville Residents United. A second person has died after a shooting at Jenny Springs over the Memorial Day weekend, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is now investigating. FDLE says a total of 3 people were shot in a crowd at the Springs Saturday. Earlier this week, the Gilchrist County Sheriff's Office said there is no suspect information, but they are continuing to work all angles of the investigation. Before Saturday's triple shooting, another shooting took place at the Springs. 34-year-old Cody Stewart was killed. Investigators say the shooting stemmed from a fight over a parking space. An 18-year-old from Georgia was arrested in his death. An Ocala man is behind bars, accused of hiding cameras in a young woman's home and watching her. Police arrested 58-year-old John Butler late last week. Investigators say the woman's mother discovered a small camera inside an electrical outlet in the daughter's bathroom. She reported it to police. Detectives searched the home and found another camera in the victim's bedroom. The mother told officers she had a past relationship with Butler and he lived in the home. Butler was arrested and faces video voyeurism charges. Temperatures peaked into the 90s again today, and it's looking to stay there for at least the next few days. But UF forecaster Reuben Roberts is tracking some rain that could be headed our way.
Taking a look at the campus, is mostly clear blue skies. As she said, it's going to be mostly 90-degree weather with some light wind. Nothing to blow your hat off, though.
Alachua County Fire Rescue FDOT and FHP teamed up with students to bring awareness to the 100 deadliest days for teen drivers. We told you earlier this week, between Memorial and Labor Days are the deadliest stretch for teen drivers. That's according to Auto Club AAA. A mock crash scene was created at Lofton High School. Students participated as injured drivers and passengers as first responders worked to free them. A video was created from the scene as a reminder for teens to remember the rules of the road. Neighbors in parts of Ocala are under a boil water advisory. Officials issued the precautionary advisory for neighbors on Northwest Blychton Road and Northwest 52nd Avenue, from State Road 40 to Northwest 8th Street. Neighbors in the area are asked to boil all water used for brushing teeth, cooking, and drinking until further notice. You will be advised when the water is safe to drink again. Drivers in Marion County will have to find another route around I-75 and County Road 484. The ramp will close this weekend for FDOT work. Both the on and off ramps will be closed on different days starting Sunday, June 2nd. You're taking a live look at I-75 near the exit from our DOT camera network. FDOT says they will resurface the ramps during the overnight hours. For drivers who still need to take these routes, detours will be provided. The ramp closures and detours are scheduled to end by Friday, June 17th at 7:30 a.m. And construction begins next week from Alachua to Columbia counties. FDOT crews plan to resurface State Road 20 through Suwannee County into Columbia County. You can see the map highlights where the resurfacing will take place. Drivers can expect lane closures daily from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The nearly $12 million project is expected to be completed early next year. This week, the State Board of Education approved changes in the Florida High School Athletic Association's bylaw that includes replacing mentions of the word gender with the word sex. The changes come as Florida and other Republican-led states are challenging a Biden administration rule that would help carry out Title IX. It's a law that bars discrimination in education programs based on sex. State Education Commissioner Manny Diaz says he has directed Florida institutions not to take any steps toward implementing the regulations.
The Biden administration is attempting to convince the country that biological sex no longer has any meaning. In Florida, thanks to the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, we're fighting back. And no matter what the federal government says, we will continue to protect students' privacies in bathrooms and locker rooms, and we will never allow boys to play girls' sports.
During the Education Board meeting Wednesday, Miami-Dade County teacher Crystal Etienne criticized the FHSAA bylaw changes.
Do you think a child is living through this scrutiny to be their true, authentic selves, to win at sports? Do you think that's what's happening in these schools? This is just another way to push the culture wars.
Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina filed a federal lawsuit last month challenging the new Title IX rule. They allege in part that the Biden administration overstepped its legal authority in extending the regulations to apply to discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. For the next 2 weekends, anglers in Florida can catch their dinner for free by taking advantage of 2 license-free fishing weekends. On June 1st and 2nd, no license is required to go saltwater fishing. The following weekend on June 8th and 9th, people can go freshwater fishing without a license. Both Florida residents and visitors can take part in the license-free weekends, as long as they follow the normal size and bag limit restrictions. FWC Officer Chris Boley says free fishing weekends are a way to introduce the sport to new anglers.
On the fence about it, it's a great opportunity to take them out and let them experience fishing. You know, you show them the ropes, and it might encourage them to want to continue fishing in the future.
For those who enjoy their free fishing experience, an annual license for fresh or saltwater fishing costs $17 each for residents and for $47 for non-residents. 2 Ocala students are among the winners chosen by FDOT to display their bike lane designs during Mobility Week later this year. Their designs were created as part of the Mobility Week Bike Lane Design Contest. Both winners in Marion County were selected from Ward Highlands Elementary. Cameron Egan is a first grader and Lacey Stone is in 3rd grade. The bike lanes on the streets near their schools will be painted with their design each fall. FDOT hosts Mobility Week to promote safe transportation choices. Life South Blood Center celebrates 50 years with a party in Gainesville. The Community Center Development Coordinator says donations are less frequent during the summer. This celebration is vital for the center because it invites people to donate and celebrate, because about 15 to 20% of yearly donations come from high school and college drives.
There are summer blood shortages like clockwork every year. There's a lot of reasons for that.
Life South has been the main blood provider to local hospitals in North Central Florida for the last 50 years. Coming up next on First at 5, Boeing is looking to answer tough questions on how to better keep their passengers safe. And a new survey says Floridians aren't doing enough to get ready for tropical storms and hurricanes. The reason, the report says, neighbors are ignoring the warnings. Boeing's on the hot seat today as they must let federal regulators know how they plan to fix safety problems that have caused blowouts on planes and other issues in recent years. As Alice Barr reports, whistleblowers accuse the airplane manufacturer of cutting corners to save money, which puts passengers' lives at risk.
The embattled aircraft manufacturer Boeing today laying out to the Federal Aviation Administration how it's making substantive safety changes after that January scare when a door plug blew out of a 737 MAX 9 during an Alaska Airlines flight. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
Boeing has laid out their roadmap, and now they need to execute.
Federal safety investigators found that bolts that should have held the plane's panel in place were missing. The FAA ordered Boeing to come up with a quality improvement plan, demonstrating better training and factory production practices, and barred the company from ramping up 737 MAX production. The FAA administrator saying today the agency's not ready to approve those production increases and will step up oversight.
We will continue to make sure every airplane that comes off the line is safe and reliable, regardless of how many planes Boeing builds. We need to see a strong and unwavering commitment to safety and quality that endures over time.
The door panel blowout led to multiple civil and criminal investigations, and it's one in a series of incidents, some of them deadly, that have badly damaged Boeing's reputation. Scared passengers took to social media.
It makes me wonder if that's going to happen on my flight.
I specifically booked the flight I have today to be not flying on a 737 MAX 9.
Last month, a whistleblower testified on Capitol Hill accusing Boeing of production shortcuts that prioritize profits over safety, claims the company denies. Boeing insists it's committed to safety and transparency, releasing new assembly plant video today as a giant of the airline industry works to rebuild public trust. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Boeing is also preparing to launch their first manned mission this weekend. Liftoff is set for 12:25 p.m. Saturday from Kennedy Space Center. NASA says there are several backup launch dates in case of issues. The first manned mission of Starliner has already been delayed a few times, including last week because of a helium leak. The astronauts on this trip are going to the International Space Station for a week. As we get closer to the start of the hurricane season, AAA is urging Floridians to get prepared, but a new survey says many ignore warnings and then it's too late. The Auto Club Group released the survey this week that says some 64% of people would not leave their home unless the hurricane was a Category 3 or stronger. 23% of Floridians surveyed said they don't make advanced preparations for hurricane season or severe weather. And another 27% say they would ignore all warnings to evacuate. The survey says the top reason Floridians don't want to leave include monitoring damage to their homes and believing the storm will not hit their area.
Taking a look on campus, it's mostly clear skies, hot weather, and a little bit of wind. Coming up tomorrow, there's a chance we may see some rainfall. It's going to be a hot weekend, and there's a chance there may be a rainstorm this Sunday. I'll have more for you after the break.
We are following breaking news out of New York City, where former President Trump has just been found guilty on all 34 counts in his hush money trial. The former president has been on trial for weeks, accused of falsifying business records to allegedly pay off adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. This is the first time a former president has stood trial on criminal charges. We will continue to follow the developments of this story and bring you what is next in this case on WUFT.org. Now let's get over to Reuben Roberts with your forecast.
Taking a look at the weather this morning, if you were up, it might have been some chilly weather for you, but as mentioned, it's going to be a hot weekend, so the low for tomorrow is only 66 degrees. Now, looking back on campus near the Ben Griffey Stadium, this is a live look. Clear skies, hot weather, light wind, nothing that will knock your hat off. And then taking a look around Florida, as you can see, St. Augustine is a little more chillier than Gainesville, but most of the cities are around 90 or like 90 degrees, so as you can see for the rest of the day, you're going to see hot weather, but as the sun goes down, it's going to get cooler and cooler. We're going to see our weather go from the 90s to the 80s to the 70s and even down to the 60s. Taking a look into tomorrow, clear skies. It's not going to be hot in the morning, but as the day goes on towards the afternoon, it's going to start to get more cloudy, but there's a chance there may be rain following. And taking a look at the satellite and radar, New Orleans in Mississippi is going through rainfall right now, but there's a chance that it could be hitting the panhandle part of Florida or Pensacola. But for us in Gainesville, we're going to remain mostly dry. Nothing really over the nighttime of Friday, but just you wait. There's a chance Central Florida is going to start getting hit by some weather, and there's a chance Gainesville may be hit by some light rain themselves. But for the most part, it's going to be a dry day. And then taking a look at the next week, it's going to be hot. A hot week ahead of us, 90-degree weather. There's a chance that we may see rainfall, but not likely. It's a little bit over the average weather temperature, so strap up as you're going to need some sunscreen.
Unfortunately, Oklahoma City hasn't been as lucky with weather today. Rain earlier this afternoon delayed the first game of the Women's College World Series for an hour and a half. The start time for the Gators softball matchup tonight against Oklahoma State will likely be affected, but the game is currently set for 9:30.
WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Ben McLeish. Gators softball begins the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City tonight with a matchup against Oklahoma State. This is the Gators' 12th time in the College World Series. They most recently made the tournament in 2022 and last won titles in 2014 and 2015. Oklahoma State's head coach Kenny Gajewski was an assistant coach on both Florida's championship teams. Ahead of their reunion, Florida head coach Tim Walton talked about his unique relationship with Oklahoma State's skipper.
Been friends since I was 17 years old. Played ball together in California, and then we came to Oklahoma, won a championship together. I mean, obviously we have a great amount of respect for each other. He's like a brother to me.
First pitch is tentatively scheduled for 9:30, but may be pushed back due to weather. Delays earlier this afternoon. There are 3 other games in Oklahoma City today. UCLA beat Alabama 4-1 to start off the day. At last look, Duke was beating Oklahoma 1-0, and Texas is scheduled to take on Stanford at 7. Despite failing to live up to expectations this season, Gator Baseball secured their 16th straight NCAA AA tournament bid. They earned a spot in the Stillwater Regional alongside 11th ranked Oklahoma State, Nebraska, and Niagara. The Gators begin the tournament against Big Ten champion Nebraska tomorrow. Freshman pitcher Liam Peterson is expected to start on the mound for the Gators. Peterson got off to a slow start in collegiate ball, but he has mightily improved. He has only allowed 5 runs in his last 5 starts, with the Gators posting a 4-1 record in those games. If the Gators defeat Nebraska, they will take on the winner of the Oklahoma State-Niagara game. Senior outfielder Tyler Shelnut spoke today about the team's outlook heading into regional play.
The biggest thing we're looking at is the whole season, the regular season, didn't go exactly the way we had planned it to. But at this point, it no longer matters. We're in a position to accomplish everything that we've been looking to accomplish for a long time. So at this point, it's just about taking care of business and what's in front of us now.
First pitch for tomorrow's game is set for 3 p.m. One final note, the starting times for the first 3 weeks of Gator football games have been announced. The Gators begin the season with Miami at 3:30 on August 31st. Play Samford at 7 in Week 2 and take on Texas A&M at 3:30 in Week 3.
Before we go, one last check on the weather.
Taking a 7-day outlook, it's going to be in the 90s this week, so I would suggest bringing water bottles. I would suggest keeping sunscreen on you. There's a chance that it may be rain on Friday and Sunday, as mentioned before. It looks like it's going to be good weather, not much rain for Gainesville.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5. But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all our social media platforms. Have a good night.